If it's happening in Burbank, you ought to know, so tune into the Mike and Roy Show.
And now,
Mike and Roy.
hello Burbankers, and welcome back to the Mike and Roy Show. Do we have a show for you? We're going to talk about Measure T, and there's a lot of misinformation once again coming out of the city of Burbank. Roy called me last week and said, have you seen these signs? And I said, yeah, you mean the go out and vote signs? He goes, yeah, but look a little closer and you'll see that it has the different measures and a nice little cute check mark. Like, vote for this one, vote for this one, vote for this one.
Yeah, it's funny. It's not an X, or it's not even just blank. There's a check mark next to them. So it's a not so subtle reminder, or suggestive, thing, unconsciously even maybe, that you want to vote yes on these.
Yeah.
And by the way, again, this happened with the big airport vote with the expansion with Measure B. Tax dollars being used to put out signs or influential, suggestive things.
Yeah, and of course,
to make us vote a certain way.
Of course,
in an election.
Of course, the city will say, no, we're not suggesting that. It's just make sure you go out and vote for all these. BS. That's what I say. I'm calling BS because it definitely makes it look like they want you to support those measures.
Yeah, maybe it should be Measure BS instead of Measure T.
Yeah.
So, Mike, there's a lot of other stuff, Mike, on this. Where do you want to start
There's
with?
a lot that the city's not telling us about Measure T. And Roy and I in our research have found out some really disturbing facts about it. Measure T isn't just voting to continue taking money from the Burbank Water and Power and putting it into the general fund. Apparently, our city has been doing this for many, many years, taking millions of dollars from the Department of Water and Power and putting that money into our general fund. They weren't supposed to be doing that. They were sued. Our city was sued and lost the lawsuit. The court said you can't do that. So now what the city's doing after the fact, they're asking for the residents, the citizens of Burbank, to approve this practice that the court's already said that you can't continue.
Right, and so it's about 12 years, the city was not putting into PERS for all the retiring Burbank Water and Power folks and their health and welfare fund. So there's a lot of money on the table here that wasn't put in where it was supposed to be. So they're asking us to condone their bad behavior, and they're so desperate to have this measure pass, Mike. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but they hired a PR firm.
Yeah.
Sort of like, again, back to Measure B when they hired for $50,000.
Well,
hired a PR firm.
I think you're right. They are desperate because they got caught.
Yeah.
They got caught, and now they're going to try to go back and fix it and try to get support for something that they weren't supposed to be doing in the first place. With all these threats of cutting services,
Yes.
and here,
Police, fire, parks, libraries.
right,
Who's not going to vote to keep all those going, or
right.
scare tactics.
right. If you don't pass Measure T, we're going to have to make some more cuts. How about cutting some of these huge salaries that you keep giving raises to people in the city?
Some of our top employees, a number of them in Burbank, which is a relatively small town compared to Los Angeles, we're making the same. They are making the same salaries here in Burbank as the fat cats, if you will, in LA.
Yeah.
Which, as we know, has a lot bigger population.
Yeah, but we have city staff making over $400,000, over $300,000. Many of them making $200,000 and more. And here we are.
They want to keep the party going.
Yeah, cutting services, taking money from Burbank Water and Power, putting it in general fund. Let's keep an eye on these guys.
Well, Mike, and we touched on this a second ago, how desperate they are, or worried, or whatever the word you want to use. Said hired a PR firm called Sorrell.
Yeah.
And Mike and I found some wonderful. By the way, again, your tax dollars paying for this.
Yeah.
So that PR firm to influence an election with our tax dollars.
And this Sorrell Associates PR firm is now calling certain Burbank residents, and you'll see in some of these quotes how they target certain residents. They're calling and saying that they're just doing outreach. The city of Burbank has hired them to do outreach.
And educate the public.
Yeah, and it's nothing like outreach. It's definitely trying to get support for Measure T, trying to get residents and voters in Burbank to vote yes on Measure T. That's not outreach.
Mike, some of these quotes off Sorrell's website are, you can't write this stuff, but somebody did. We're just going to go back and forth. These
Yeah.
are just classic. So here's behind the scenes what's going on.
Yeah, the PR firm that our city hired with our money, this is how they operate.
Yep. Here's one quote. I'll start with this. Whether it's seeking approval for a development project, Burbank, or impacting the legislative process, we develop authentic and effective strategies to engage, educate, and activate target audiences according to project objectives.
Wow. Get this. We work with our clients to win political campaigns, specializing in ballot measures at the local, regional, and state levels.
We're going to ping pong back and forth. This is fun. We successfully shape public discourse to help our clients achieve success on a broad range of issues.
Sorrell crafts the strategy for comprehensive campaigns that influences public opinion.
Here's a short one. Sorrell amplifies your message.
We handle every part of the campaign to achieve victory on election day.
And my last one is, we know how to talk to your neighbors about issues that matter most to them. And we know how to earn their support.
And guess what? Our lobbying team of former city, state, and federal government staff members opens doors and cuts through the red tape. Doesn't sound like outreach and education to me. It sounds like their job is to get this measure passed, and the way they're talking to residents of Burbank, that's exactly what's happening.
Mike, we've got to do another separate video on the other two measures. We encourage you to watch that. If this is the end of the time you have to share with us, we want to encourage you to vote no on all three. Mike, to me, bad things a lot of times happen in threes.
Yeah.
These three measures need to go down. We need to send a message that Burbank has people who can actually look at both sides of an issue, and there are some dissenters out there.
Measure T, Measure Y, Measure V. They're not for you,
And they're not
for
for
me.
me.
See you next time on the
The Mike and Roy Show.
Mike and Roy.